my fellow colleague in government who I've got to know. I've learned a lot from our new president, Maria Torres-Spring, over the past, I think, I've been elected 2 years, before in her role at SBS. And then one of the secrets is she has a very young baby. And I have a baby on the way in 2 weeks, so I often ask her for advice on how to move and how to make sure that I'm doing my job well in all aspects of life. But it's an honor to be here with you. I'm Councilmember Richard. As he said, I represent 31st District, which is the best district in New York City, but certainly the Rockaways, and then also I represent also JFK as well, parts of JFK as well, which is definitely important for this conversation. So just last week, we made an announcement with the Mayor of the City Council, the Speaker of the Council, at the Greenpoint Manufacturing and Design Center to sort of roll out the new IBZ policy that obviously everybody's been speaking about probably before I was born, but certainly very good that we are here today. So for many of you, you may not know that these particular jobs, manufacturing jobs in particular, are very important to communities such as mine because it does give communities, especially of color, an opportunity to create some good jobs for people. So 12% unemployment rate right now in Black and Hispanic communities across New York City. And the industrial sector serves as a gateway, we know, to both financial stability and in the middle class for our communities. One startling fact about industrial sector jobs that many people may not know are that 80% of workers in this field are people of color. And a majority, both Hispanic and Black, and 60% of the workforce is foreign born, which is something that we like to always highlight. And in a day and age when retail, restaurant, and hotel jobs are paying at a mere $25,000 a year, we know that industrial sector jobs are paying on average around $50,000 a year, lifting families into the middle class, which is something the mayor has spoken very humbly on, and is something the council has worked with him very closely on to sort of fill this inequality gap that we see across the city. This is why last week's announcement was so important, because protecting IBZs in particular is protecting middle class families, and most importantly, keeping these families from settling for the low wage paying job that I just spoke of. Over the years, we've seen the trend of as of right hotels and storage companies practicing what we deem mission creep in industrial areas due to lax zoning regulations, which resulted in the loss of hundreds of thousands of good jobs for our communities. But thankfully, due to the hard work with Adam and the Alliance, we have started to right these wrongs by proposing restrictions which will maximize opportunities for the industrial sector to grow and to no longer be undermined or decreased in its relevance right here in our city. And I think Maria touched on a lot of the 10-point industrial action plan, which obviously we've worked very closely with Mayor de Blasio on, because we understand that we are trying to achieve 3 major goals here, and all of which are essential to a vibrant and growing industrial economy. So I'll just go through some of the things. So I know one of the things that we work very closely with the administration on is to ensure that we invest in city-owned industrial assets. And as part of the 10-year capital plan now, the city will invest a total of $442 million in city-owned industrial properties. And I know the Brooklyn Army Terminal, for instance, is going to receive around $115 million to develop around half a million square feet of space. The Brooklyn Navy Yard, I believe that Maria touched on, $140 million to develop 1 million square feet of space. Sunset Park, an additional $37 million in infrastructure investment to support thousands of new existing jobs. And I know Maria also spoke on Hunts Point, which is around $150 million to protect around a little bit over 3 million square feet of space. Then one of the most important things we will do in my committee is obviously, as we spoke of, is the zoning regulations that we want to ensure are in place to protect IBZs. So we know that hotels have historically creeped up in areas of storage spaces and other uses, and we will be working very closely with the administration through my committee to ensure that we are protecting industrial and manufacturing zones. And one way we are doing that is we are going to create a new special permit that will be required for any hotel developments in M1 districts within IBZs. And I know JFK is sort of an exception there, but we'll be working to make sure that we protect space there as well. Additionally, we will also implement restrictions on personal mini storage and household goods storage facilities in IBZs through appropriate land use controls. And then, one of the other things I want to speak on, and I think, Maria, you didn't touch on it, was definitely the Workforce One centers, which is something critical in particular to our communities. How do we link local communities to these jobs, to these opportunities? And we'll be working very closely with the administration to ensure that communities have access to these particular opportunities, especially communities like Far Rockaway, in which we have one of the highest unemployment rates in Queens. How do we connect those good jobs and those opportunities to our communities? We also obviously spoke of creating an industrial and manufacturing fund to spur development. And this is great because for the first time ever, the city will create an industrial and manufacturing fund to stimulate the creation of new industrial and manufacturing space by nonprofit and mission-driven developers. And I think nonprofit is something we are always pushing for, because we know that there's a better connection to our local communities when we work with nonprofit. And the fund will obviously provide around $64 million in city loans and grants, which is important. And I like the grant part more than the loan part, but it's definitely very important. Another thing, part of the plan, which is also very important, is expanding the Brownfield Jumpstart program to industrial properties. So part of the 10-point plan that we announced with the mayor announced around $500,000 expansion of the city's Brownfield Jumpstart program, which will help businesses enroll in the New York State Brownfield Cleanup program, which is also very important, and provide grants to industrial and manufacturing businesses for site investigation and cleanup efforts. And the program will unlock critical space that can be used to create around 200 good jobs for New Yorkers and promote clean and sustainable neighborhoods. And we expect these projects to receive some tax credits of up to 20% through the New York State BCP. So these are some of the things that we've highlighted last week. And obviously, I just want to touch back on workforce development, which is important, but career centers being put into some of our local neighborhoods is critical. So there will be satellite space that I know EDC will be looking at in particular to locate into local communities. So, I always like to leave with good quotes before I get off the stage. So our workforce and our entire economy is strongest when we embrace diversity to its fullest, and that means opening doors of opportunities to everyone and recognizing that the American dream should exclude no one. And I think that's what's so important about this particular sector, that there is opportunity for all communities to actually benefit and to lift themselves up. I think a lot of times, some people think people are looking for a handout. No, they're looking for a hand up. And this is one way to ensure that communities that have high poverty, and once again, communities where we have a high concentration of foreign-born individuals have the opportunity to gain in the sector. So I want to thank you, Adam, once again. And we look forward. We will be using oversight, which is something the City Council loves to do. No pun included here. But we will be working very closely with the administration over the next month, and we look forward to continuing our work with the advocates to ensure we push through these zoning changes to protect our IBZ. So thank you for having me.
Thank you.